up at night. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wide variety. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the alley, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories are talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to this week's episode of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones from Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. Today's episode is pre-recorded. Why? Because myself and my guest are probably sound asleep after this past 3-day weekend of all kinds of excitement in Appleton, Wisconsin, and the surrounding area from CapCon. So we are probably taking a well-needed rest. But we are getting ready for more stuff coming up, because coming up here shortly, June 7th, we are back at it down in Chicago, Wisconsin for the Chicago Paranormal Convention. That's right, anybody in the Chicagoland area, come out and check out the CAPS team. We're going to be down there. I'll be doing a presentation on dogmen throughout history and sightings and reports. It is $1 admission at the Countryside Banquet and Conference Center there. You can't beat that. Free parking. More on that as we go along. All right, guys, and then I got a bunch of library presentations coming up throughout Wisconsin. I will be in Lodi, Wisconsin, June 30th, Cedarburg, July 17th. I will be at UFO Days in Elmwood, Wisconsin, July 26th. I will be in Silcon in Gaze, Illinois, in September 19th and 20th. Van Meter Visitor Festival, September 27th. And the Neenah Public Library for Exploring the Paranormal, October 29th. You don't want to miss this one if you're in your area, because we're also going to be doing a paranormal investigation of the library after the presentation. So this is going to be a super awesome time. But today, guys, we are going to be talking about the brand new documentary from Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. That's right, it is finally out. The Hairyman of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot. So we are going to be talking all about that with my guest. Joining me on the show today is one of my research partners and CAPS team member and also Bigfoot witness. Please welcome back to the show, Chris McCreary. Welcome back, man. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How you doing, Barnaby?
I'm doing well. Always tired as usual, and we are pretty well and chipper today, I think. But I don't know what we're actually doing in real life right now. Like I said, we're probably sleeping in. Or do you work Monday after the convention today?
I do. 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Well, but you're not doing the paranormal stuff on Sunday, so you get to sleep on Sunday.
Yeah.
See, I got all 3 days there. You just got to deal with 2. So, all right. I'll let you off this time. Since you're being so kind to join me in advance here, I'll let it slide this once.
I'll take what I can get.
Well, awesome. I asked you on here because you were a big help with filming this documentary with me. We spent a lot of time in the woods together, and you're actually part of the documentary as well because of your sighting and some of the research that you did. So we're going to get into that in just a little bit here, but I want to start here with let's talk about the documentary. So this is the first time that CAPS has actually released a feature-length documentary. So instead of doing like the filming style that we're used to, where we go out in the field and we wear, GoPros, we do the research and we kind of put the evidence into a documentary style, this was filmed completely different, where we filmed. It was a different beast. I mean, like you were part of this.
Yeah. It's like you would see when you're watching TV or Animal Planet. It's style.
Yeah, it's the third person style instead of first person perspective.
Yeah,
and you notice when we were going out there, I had to buy a whole new chest rig for the camera recording, because I realized that when me and you go out in the woods and stuff, that we're never on camera.
Yeah.
And when go ahead.
That you don't think about it until you go to make something like the documentary.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a completely different beast. It was a lot more stressful and a lot more work than I mean, I enjoy doing this stuff. I enjoy going out into the woods and doing the research, hiking around with you and stuff like that. And it's easy to slap a camera on your head, on your chest, put your backpack on and go hiking for a couple hours, compared to filming what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a whole new ball game, like you said.
Yeah, it was a matter of having to come up with new ways of documenting the research that we were doing so that you could see us doing some of this stuff. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. It's something maybe down the road we'll try again, huh?
Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline, as everybody knows, and there's stuff that I don't know if it's probably, maybe if I remember to talk about it at the convention, been released, but we will talk about the next big project here from CAPS coming up shortly. Maybe this is where we talk about it, because this is coming out after the convention. I don't know. Interesting. All right, we'll get to that later. But so Chris is all excited because Chris doesn't even know what I'm talking about. Awesome. So back to the documentary. Like even like the witness interviews, we went back and filmed a lot of the stuff, like the witnesses that we have met over the years of doing this research, and we've gone back and refilmed interviews, sit down interviews with better quality video, better audio, and it was just a lot more work.
Yeah.
Oh man. So have you ever done anything like that before?
No. And for me, it was more difficult actually being on camera and trying to talk.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of let things happen, let things fly. I get excited, I talk fast. So remembering to stay calm, it's kind of hard.
and remembering all the details.
Exactly. Yeah, because when someone sees something like that, you see it in your mind every time you think about it. Trying to tell somebody what you saw, being excited and trying to talk quickly, you end up missing a lot of those details. So, like, even though you're seeing it in your mind, the way you're portraying it might come off different, which the person talking about it doesn't think about it, because when you're describing it, you're seeing it in your mind again.
And that's really, you know, we've both gotten to interview several witnesses and stuff now together as caps. And, you know, even like the one that stands out to me, you know, like, well, let's just talk about yours here. You know, you're describing it to me of what you saw, and I'm there with you, you know, and I can kind of see it in my mind. But now when I'm trying to take this and portray it out in video form, because a lot of these interviews, these witness accounts and stuff, we took and we created these reenactments. So instead of just watching the person talk, you get to see kind of firsthand what happened. We didn't put like Bigfoot in it and stuff, but you know, you kind of get more of a feel of the actual locations where these things happened. So you're put back into those places, as well as the story you're hearing and all that. So it was, while I'm listening to you talk, I had to, or each individual, you have to go back and try and visualize how you're going to film this and put it into there and tell that story, instead of just walking through the woods and listening to somebody talk about it like we've done in the past.
Exactly. Yeah. And then being on location sometimes helps trigger, you know, a memory or something that happened, that sometimes when you're speaking about it, you talk about it so much that you would forget. But being on location kind of helps that.
Absolutely. That's really nice with the reenactments and stuff too, because you're looking at something else, like the reenactment itself on video, which allows me to edit the person talking easier, so that I can get a hour-long interview into a 30-second, you know, clip of video, because I can kind of mesh it together and take parts of things that he said throughout the day, or each person said throughout the day, that makes this full story. So it was a whole different beast trying to make this into a documentary.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it. I like it a lot. You did a good job, Barnaby.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is available right now. It'll be out in the show notes. You can head on over to patreon.com, the Wisconsin Caps Patreon, and you can either be a monthly subscriber and you get it for free, along with you get early access to all of our new just YouTube stuff that comes out once a month or periodically. You get early access to all that. You get extra behind the scenes footage and research that we do on there. And you get all kinds of stuff. Or if you don't want to become a monthly subscriber, you can purchase it for $3 and just watch the documentary. Also, it is on Paraflix. So if you're a Paraflix Paranormal Plus subscriber, it is already on there. Came out yesterday, May 11th. So you can head on over and watch it on there as well. So those are the two places that you can watch it. We are also hopefully going to have some DVDs of it available as well, for maybe people that don't have streaming service, or, you know, really just want the hard copy of it. But we're working on that as well. So yeah, so anybody that came out to the convention on Saturday that stuck around got to see the full length. It is an hour and 38 minutes long, the full length documentary. And so right now we are going to give you a couple little snippets here during the show. And the first one we're going to play is actually a section of Chris's interview. So you can see kind of what we're talking about with the storyline here of, you know, talking about what happened, as well as getting that reenactment feel. So this is Chris's story. You ready, Chris?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Here we go.
Christopher McCreary, and I have been researching Sasquatch, Bigfoot, paranormal stuff since 2020. I've been interested in Bigfoot from a young age. I've always been interested in what lurks out in the woods, what's out there at night, what we don't see, and that's always interested me. my whole life. What really kickstarted my research was back in 2016, I had a road crossing sighting as I was headed from Montello south to Lake Puckaway. I was coming down a road, there's a sharp 90-degree corner, and you have to slow down to go around this corner. I come around the corner and I see something out of the corner of my eye. There was a tall, black, bipedal creature standing on the right side of my vehicle. As I was getting closer to it, I took my foot off the gas pedal. I did not know what I was looking at. It went from right to left across the street in front of me and about 3 steps down into the ditch. And it starts running towards my pickup truck. I knew it wasn't a bear. There was a definite thing that it did with its shoulder. It got down in the ditch to come towards my truck. The arm rolled like this, and it looked like it grabbed and threw itself forward. Bears don't do that. They don't have the shoulders to be able to do that. I was smoking a cigarette at the time. So I looked up to ash my cigarette out the window, and when I looked back, it was gone.
I'm watching that and I'm realizing that that's a early rough cut of that, because there was actually some edits and stuff to that as well in the final product. But you get an idea. I mean, that's really cool. So that was one of the first segments that we recorded for the documentary and was edited out. So it was kind of the testing ground for where we were going with this.
Oh yeah, mountain cameras on vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, chase vehicles. Oh yeah, that was good stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, okay, so just there, you saw maybe like 30 seconds of you talking in that field. And just that interview was probably, I think it was like an hour and a half that we stood there because of like wind and other things and just trying to get the full story of what we were looking for. And it was, I mean, just doing this documentary was a complete different thing for us here at Caps. So
yeah, it was definitely a learning curve. Like, it took me a while to get ready to be talking on camera. So
yeah.
But it turned
Awesome.
out good.
Oh, it did. So the documentary is basically, we wanted it to feel like a one-shot kind of glimpse of all things here for Bigfoot in Wisconsin, because there hasn't been really any documentaries put out talking about our state as a whole when it comes to Bigfoot. And so what I tried to do with this is I wanted it to encompass the people that are out there looking for it. So we went out and we spoke to a lot of the other researchers from the state, and you get to see those people. You get to see the people that are taking the reports, the like clearinghouses and stuff that are where we get our information from if we don't get it directly from us. We go out and we take a look at the personal lives of these people, because, you know, like, how is this affecting, you know, like Chris, how does your family feel about what you do? Do they believe in Bigfoot?
I would say my mom does, my wife does, my brother and nephews, they're hit or miss. But I'm the weird Bigfoot guy of the family, so I've just come to embrace it.
No, that's awesome. It sounds like, you know, like you got a pretty good support network around you, you know, with what you do.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they're big supporters, especially with me being on the Caps team and us going out, all the locations we go to. And yeah, it's big help having people that are in your corner behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we talk about in the documentary, we talk about, like, you know, some of that stuff and the ridicule that people get, because there's so many people that do have sightings. You know, you have the BFRO, you have the Bigfoot Mapping Project, you have other, you know, we have our own sighting map at wisconsinbigfoot.com. You can go and get some more information as well. There's a whole map of our sighting reports that we've personally taken, as well as there's some BFRO points on the map and stuff, and it's divided up so that you can see it. But there's, all this stuff that just isn't reported and people don't talk about. And we go into some of that in the documentary as far as like why people don't talk about it and why there's this hesitation and, the ridicule about it. We go and show you some evidence, some actual in-person, some footprints, stick structures, audio, video, thermal. So you actually get to see some of that really cool stuff as well. That's not just reenactment, but the actual footage from these locations.
Yep.
Yeah, you have anything to add to that?
No, actually getting to talk to the people and then seeing the real part of the investigation, the actual footage, and then cutting back and talking to the person again, it shows, what they were thinking after they've already experienced it, and it shows what was going on in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you don't see that a lot. You don't see that a lot in documentaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of original footage, and there's some pretty compelling stuff. The one nighttime shot, I think you know what I'm talking about, from down in the southern area.
Okay. Yes.
That one's a really interesting piece of footage. So I think that, and this is the first time that a lot of people are going to be able to get to see that footage of, so that one's interesting. We have some of the stuff that we've, already kind of talked about. Like I said, even some of like our Rhinelander stuff, the mountain Wisconsin stuff is in there. But even if you've seen our other stuff on these, we take a deeper look, and with the different interviews and stuff, we actually go back to the locations where these things happened and give you a different perspective of it. So even if you've heard these stories, seen this stuff before, there's more stuff to this because, like we talked about earlier, there's, everything that you see on our YouTube channel, there's probably another 8 hours of that same thing that never, just got thrown on the cutting room floor before. And so now we can take and show you new evidence of the same story and bring it to you in a new way. So that was really fun for me to go back and look at these cases again and bring forward the new evidence and stuff.
Yeah, definitely relive it and gives you some ideas for possible stuff to do in the future as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we're going to take go here. And so my first encounter, for anybody that's listened to the show and stuff before, I always thought these things were, just out in the Pacific Northwest. And I never really realized that Bigfoot was right here in my own backyard until I met Craig and Barb Sulk up at the Hiding Adventure. And they kind of showed me that this stuff was, here in Wisconsin and Upper Michigan and all over the United States. And I went down to Burlington, Wisconsin, which was supposed to be this hotspot hub for all of the strange, weird window area of Bigfoot, UFOs, fairies, supernatural, and all that stuff. And so it was really interesting to go back and film this specific segment, because when me and Derek first went down there and had our encounter, and we're going to show that in just a second here, we had the one GoPro and it was sitting on my dashboard aimed out the front window of the car. So every time that we have used this audio, used this footage, all you hear is me and Derek talking and this black screen. And it has always bothered me that this is such a waste of footage, because you just have this black screen. So it was really cool for me to go down there and set up the cameras and film the reenactment of what it was like being there that day, and finally put a visual to what you're hearing. So you get the opportunity to hear the original audio that was recorded when we were down there, when this was happening real time. And you get this visual third person view of what actually happened. So you can kind of understand what was going on with me and Derek at the time. So for the first time ever, let's take a look at that.
Maybe that one.
That's a dark road. And this is the parking lot.
I thought I heard rustling, something behind the bush, you know.
Yeah, it seemed like there's something up in the bushes there.
What was,
You see that?
what was that?
Did you see that?
What was that? I saw something dark from your light, from like right to the left.
It was big.
Could be the elusive Bigfoot, maybe? It was on its hind legs and it went away from your light.
Did you see the trees move there?
Yes.
There is something big moving around right there.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but you can hear it.
Yeah, it's either pacing or what are you doing?
And after that, I got so intrigued by what the heck happened that night and what we heard and what we saw that I started talking to some people at work and my mom, and we ended up coming down here a couple weeks later, and that was the foundation of CAPS. Myself, Derek, and Ma, and Michael, and then eventually Ethan joined the team as well, and we're pretty much the founding members. Yeah. So we were looking out the window, and I shined the light, as you see in the clip there, and this tree was like bent down, like something was like holding it out looking, and as the light came across it, the tree bounces up. And we both saw it because you couldn't not see it. It was big, and you could see something move. And I mean, like the original footage, you see a little bit of the original footage there at the end where you're actually looking out my window, and it's just pitch black out there. You know, you can't see nothing without the light out there. And yeah, it's always bothered me that footage is just this black footage. And it was really cool to get to go down there and reenact that and shoot it for the documentary. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I guess one thing I never asked you about your encounter was how high off the ground was that branch that was moving?
Oh, so to be more specific, we found out that it wasn't a branch. It was literally an entire small tree, like an 8-foot tree that was bent over. Because a couple weeks later, we actually had Ethan go up there and recreate it. So we sat in the parking lot during the daytime and kind of figured out where it was. And there's no branch where it was. It was literally, a small, like maybe 2 or 3 inch round tree. And it was literally the whole tree was bent over and sprang up.
Ah,
So
okay.
this was like a 8, 9, 10-foot tree, total. But it was bent over like something was like trying to hide behind it. And then as you see in the documentary, I've talked about this. It's been on our YouTube and stuff before, the whole details of this. But we went back a couple weeks later and actually found 9-inch footprints from that spot leading back all the way through the woods. We were able to track them and then back into a farmer's field behind the woods there. So, I mean, what else could that be? Why would a person be out there walking through the woods? There's no houses in the area. You've been to Burlington and stuff. There's nothing there. There's no reason for
the terrain out there. You're not going to walk out there with no light.
Yeah.
You're just not going to do it.
Yeah. Plus you're going to get lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big forest. It's maybe a couple 100 feet wide. That's it at the widest spots.
Yeah, but there's no way with no light and pitch black, you would find your way around. You'd be walking in circles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from personal experience. It's easy to get lost in there if you turn out a light and just think that you know where you're going. So
yeah, That's hard to do, even if you know the place like the back of your hand. It's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. Once you get off a trail, you're done. And there's no trails back there. There wasn't a game trail where these footprints was. They were just straight through, and it was all like sticks and underbrush and stuff. It wasn't muddy enough you could see impressions, like you could see the footprints themselves, but they weren't like indented into the ground. So you do get to see them in the documentary itself. It goes on after that, but so we do go and show you some of the footprints and actually that we found and stuff. So
yeah, that is definitely in there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and more. There's some. There's audio and thermal and stuff all from that same area and stuff. So there's definitely a lot going on down in the Burlington area. So very cool, man. Chris, what was your favorite part of the documentary?
I liked hearing from other people why they do it, what drives them. You know, it shows that there's a lot more people interested in this subject than who maybe won't admit it. It's, you know, all these Bigfoot shows and stuff like that, there's, you know, thousands and millions of views, you know, on Travel Channel, streaming, whatever. But how often do you run into somebody who's got a Bigfoot shirt on, or I believe in Bigfoot, you know, or people who even talk about watching the shows because someone at work or someone in their family, their spouse is gonna say, "Oh, you're off your rocker," you know. So I like seeing that there's more people out there than probably most people think there are that are into the subject and more. You know, it's kind of refreshing to know that there's a community out there that is deeply involved in this subject.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of researchers in our documentary. You know, like it wasn't I try not to have an ego, right? So when, you know, I get asked to speak at conventions and stuff, and they say, well, you know, do you just want to be Barnaby Jones, right? Like when you come up, and I say, no, I'm always Caps, because it's not just me out there doing this, it's Caps. And even so with this documentary, I did not want that egotistical thing. It starts out with me because it's my journey through the state and showing you this stuff and kind of, you know, narrating the documentary, and it's how I started in it, and then we progress from there. But you get to meet a lot of the people in kind of the timeline of myself meeting them, even up to meeting you in the documentary, and kind of how we met is in there, I believe, right? I think it is. It might just jump to you.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, it might just jump to you. Okay. I know in the 5-year anniversary we talk about how we met, but on our YouTube. I might be missing that, but yeah, but anyway, yeah, I want it to be an all-encompassing, you know, talking about the witnesses, the creatures, the evidence, and all the places that they are. And you get a good idea, like going through this. You know, you saw in the beginning of my clip there, you show like a map of Wisconsin and then where we're going. You know, so you get to see the map of the state and then where this story took place. And it takes you to that spot with each time that we transition to a new area. So you really get a feel for where in the state we are, how much, you know, the state is literally has these things all over it, and all the different places and people that have researched it. So
absolutely. Yep. And then you get to see the joy when people talk about it too. It's just talking about not even something that happened to them, just talking about their research itself, and people get excited. It's, you know, it's a passion, and they do it because they want to do it. They're not getting paid to do it, and they're out there every weekend. It's just really cool to see.
That really stands out when we talk to some of the researchers and stuff. You get a chance to, one of the questions we asked is, how often do you go out in the woods? And some of these answers surprised me. Some of the people are out there almost every weekend. I know Cap spends a lot of time out in there in the summer. We're pretty much on the road every single weekend doing something. It's not always Bigfoot, but we're on the road doing paranormal Bigfoot conventions and stuff. Pretty much, I mean, from now, our convention this past weekend through, I think it's the end of July, I don't have a free weekend anymore. So
yeah,
that gives you kind of an idea. And so all different projects and stuff that we got going, and it's exhausting. I mean, like, because you're a part of this, but there's so much stuff in the pipeline coming from Caps. Like, people, there's so much stuff filmed. There's so much stuff that needs to get edited. And there's so many new spin-off shows that we have. We got another new one coming out this summer. I mean, we're busy with all kinds of stuff, and it's exciting to get there and do different things and stuff. But we're talking about this. So yeah. But
right.
yeah, it's you talk about the joy that the researchers have out there researching this, but on the other side of this, there's a lot of witnesses in the documentary as well that maybe are not interested at all in this topic. And when you get to talk to them, there's legitimate fear in them. Where there's one gentleman out there that me and you got the chance to interview right after you joined the team, and you can see him start to shake and stuff when we took him back out to that location. And this is, people say, oh, they made it up, they're seeing things, they're hearing things. I don't think so. I mean, there are some people that want attention, or but you get these witnesses and you take them back to where it happened. Especially that was a week after this incident actually happened. And the fear, the just constantly looking over his shoulder. And I mean, like, without giving too much of the documentary away, talk about what that was like with you for interviewing him. I mean,
Yeah. It was, like you said, you could see his fear. He was worried. He was scared. And the closer we got to the area where it happened to him, he didn't want to be there. I mean, he went in with a shotgun strapped to his back.
Yeah.
And he did not want to be there. He told us before we even started walking, he does not feel comfortable being back here. And this guy seemed like he was a lifelong hunting. He seemed like that's what he grew up doing. And to be scared to go back into a woods that he's probably been in 100 times, and now he won't go back in that woods. That says something. That says something.
And to point out the fact that he was interested in Bigfoot prior to the encounter.
Yeah. And now that he knows what he saw, and he won't go back in there. But what does that say? He has something scared him. And you guys have watched this in the documentary. Before you listen to his story, I mean, rightfully so. And there's a reason why he was so scared.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's, I think that would, we'll say this, like, he was in there with his son at the time.
Yeah, that's it.
And he was afraid for his son. They went in there to, go do their thing. And yeah, it's an intense story. Hope that you guys check it out and enjoy it, because that is something that was never released prior to the documentary. So, for anybody that has seen our stuff in that, there's brand new witness accounts, there's brand new stories in that. And we do take you on the journey of going back through stuff that we have covered before. But like I said, we have brand new footage, brand new reenactments and stuff to walk you through these things, and better quality footage than we've shown before, because like we talked about in the beginning, everything is shot different now. So instead of the first person perspective, we went back and a lot of them we re-interviewed to get their stories higher quality and stuff like that. And you can hear some of the original story plus the new version of it mix, and you see how they're still the same story. You know, like this stuff doesn't change. It stays, you know, these witnesses that have had these encounters, you know, they're not making stuff up. They're not changing their stories and that. So
yeah, once you see something like that, you'll never forget it.
yeah. Chris, when you had your encounter, what was it like right after that? Like what happened? You're driving down the road and you see this, as we just saw, and you see this thing running in the ditch next to you. What was your immediate reaction?
I couldn't really understand what I just saw. And I looked into the woods there, and where'd it go? There's nothing there. You know, I couldn't see a thing. And like I said, I was on my way to go fishing, and I drove slower than usual, you know, to get there. And when I got there, I offloaded my gear, and I didn't say a word. Nothing. You know, I was going out with my brother, and I didn't say a word. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to have to talk about something that, for one, you'd probably think I was nuts, and for two, it was, you know, you question yourself right away. Like, what was that? Could that really? And then you get to the point where that's the only thing it could have been. And it takes a little bit for your mind to wrap around exactly what happened. And you relive it every time you think about it. Like, I'm reliving it right now. I'm seeing it right now as we're talking. I mean, I myself wasn't scared. I was in my truck, you know, and it was down
That's
the road.
a big truck.
Yeah, a big truck. And you start thinking to yourself, like, okay, now what if I was out in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
What if I was out hunting? What if, you know, a lot of time when people are hunting, you know, they'll take a little nap, you know, during the noon hour, no deer are moving or whatever. What if you wake up and something's staring at you? That's a whole new ball game. So it's definitely, it takes a while to sink in, and once you realize what it was, for me, it intrigued me. That's what kind of jump started everything and to wanting to investigate this more. So
I know. Well, for people who might not know this, but you were on my show when you very first joined the Caps team. You were on Monsters on the Edge here, and we talked for a full hour just about your research and stuff. So I highly recommend people go back and check that out. It was over a year ago. I don't remember what exact episode number it was, but go back and look for Chris McCreary on there. But just kind of a recap here. Like, were you interested in Bigfoot prior to this?
I was always into the shows. I liked watching, you know, the creepy shows, the cryptid shows. I was always into it, but I never went out looking for it. And then I had my sighting, and it took me a couple of years after my sighting to finally think about, you know, well, I can go out and look for this stuff too. You know, I would know about, you know, the footprints and where people, the right kind of conditions, you know, the woods, what kind of woods are more popular than most for reporting. You know, I would look into the stuff, but I never acted on it. And then one day I was like, you know, I'm going to give this a shot. So I did what you probably shouldn't do, and I went up by myself.
But well, let's preface that you were ex-military.
I am, yes. Yeah, and I was prepared, I guess you could say, to be out in the woods. I would look the area up, kind of knew what I was getting into before I would show up. I had the right kind of provisions with me, and I would always set, you know, a time, like I'm going to be out of the woods at this time. tell somebody where I was going. So that way there, if all of a sudden it was, where did he go? Then somebody knew where I was at. So I did take precautions going out in the woods, but there were some times where you would get sketched out. And I've turned back myself. You just get that feeling where, they always say that if something's watching you, there probably is something watching you. So then I would turn around and I would go back to the vehicle. It was just one of those things where I felt like if you feel like I had enough, I knew I'm not pushing it by myself and it's time to go. I never pushed it beyond my comfort zone. I don't think anybody should.
How long was it between when you had, well, maybe not that, but how long was it between when you had the encounter and you first told someone about it? Who did you tell?
I think it was about probably around the time I started actually doing the investigation. So that was, I want to say like 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. And then I told my parents about it. And I said, well, I think this is something I could get into and actually start doing. And, they thought it was neat. They thought it was cool, and I don't know if it's because they didn't believe about it at the time. They're like, well, he's just going to go out in the woods,
You're going to go for a little hike.
Yeah, you can go out hiking and whatever. And the more my mom started watching the shows and hearing stories, I always would take pictures of stuff I'd find and stuff that was weird. And you see a tree structure where there's a 6-inch tree that's wrapped around 3 other trees, and it didn't just fall that way, So it's like, then she started getting interested, and eventually she started joining hikes too. So
that's true. Your mom has gone out with us on at least one occasion now. So
yeah, she's ready to go back too.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. So do you think that they believed you right away then when you told them?
My dad probably not so much. He was kind of a no nonsense kind of guy. My mom was probably a little more intrigued, being closer to living in that area. But I think they asked me about it. They had a couple of questions, and then it was on to the next subject. So it wasn't a very long conversation.
Fair enough.
From not really talking about that stuff, like watching the shows and the research and all that stuff was something I would do when I was alone. So then all of a sudden they want to talk about it and be like, hey, check this out, or I'm going to go do this. And like, I suppose you wouldn't really know how to take it.
I'm going to go out in the woods and look for something that doesn't exist. Wish me luck. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I don't know. My mom comes out on the team. So, I think, she was with me the day that we met Craig and Barb. We went to the hide and adventure together for the first time, and it was actually her birthday weekend. So that's where that whole thing started. But she's unbeknownst to me, I guess, that we never really talked about this. And she was, doing Ouija boards and paranormal and stuff growing up. So, she has that whole history. And I'd heard little bits and stuff of that prior to this, but yeah, she has quite a bit of history of doing this stuff, not investigating, but she's always been interested in it as well. And it was just something that we never talked about, and I don't know how intrigued she was into like Bigfoot and stuff. I never had cable growing up. So it wasn't until I moved out and had my own house and stuff, and, that I got cable, and then I discovered Monster Quest, Doug's show. Doug Monster Quest. And I've told Doug to his face that, he was very instrumental in, getting my interest in this stuff. I loved Monster Quest because, like here's finding Bigfoot, here's ghost hunters and stuff, but here's Monster Quest. Monster Quest went out and took a topic, got a witness, and then took science and looked at it. Yeah. And Monster Quest was also the only show that I watched that, in my opinion, took it serious. And here's why. Finding Bigfoot, these 4 guys go out in the woods with their camera crews and poke around, yell, holler, knock on trees and stuff and look for stuff. Monster Quest took guns. They're like, we're going out in the woods to look for something that's going to kill us. We're taking guns. And I thought, these guys are doing it right. you don't go looking for something that's 10 feet tall, covered in hair, and can throw a car and not bring a gun to this, and now I've learned throughout the years, and I think, I don't think that 1, a gun would do any good. And 2, I don't think pretty much that, you need it. I don't think that these things for the most part are threatening if you leave them alone and you don't shoot first. But what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, when we're out in the woods, I do carry a firearm with me. It's, to be honest, it's not for the Bigfoot. It's for, other 4-legged, 2-legged creatures that are doing weird stuff out in the woods. Mm-hmm. It's for personal protection. We're not out hunting it. We're not trying to get a trophy. And trying to go out there with the intent to hunt the Sasquatch, shoot one, you're going about it all wrong. These things have been here so long, you just gotta leave them alone. Leave them alone. Don't go out hunting for them. It's carry a firearm if it makes you feel safe, but don't carry a firearm if your intent is to go out there for a trophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I carry a 22 when I go out with you and stuff too, because there's areas that, we don't know very well. We don't know what animals are out there. There's wolves. We have in the one area the one with that hunter, that area, we know there are wolves. And I carry a 22 not to shoot the wolf, but to make a lot of noise. And that's pretty much the only reason I carry it, is to be a deterrent. The first bullet goes off and that's going to scare hopefully anything away. And then, if I got to do something else at that point, then that's what we do. But, you listen to Cliff and Bobo's Bigfoot and Beyond podcast as well, right?
Yeah.
And they do those Q&A episodes. And one of the questions that I actually have heard on there several times now is, did you carry firearms when you were on the show Finding Bigfoot? And Cliff says, even when he goes out in the woods by himself, he doesn't carry a firearm because he knows how to handle bears. He knows, if this is the situation you go in, you make yourself bigger, you scare him off, and he said, Bigfoot, it's not going to do anything on him anyway. And if it's a cougar, by the time there's a cougar there and you've pulled your gun, you're already dead. So that's pretty much Cliff's exact words. So
yeah, a cougar will attack you from the top. It will drop down on you from a tree.
Yeah.
That's why most people out in California, they have this taller backpack. We call it California pack because it blocks the back of your neck.
Interesting.
So they drop down. They can't bite the back of your neck. So
that is
big mountain lion, cougar, whatever you guys call it, wherever you live, your big area, we're checking in a California pack.
That is very interesting. I know we have talked about doing the black cats of Wisconsin and researching that. And I think that when we finally do end up doing more of that, you're going to have to remind me about that.
Yeah.
Definitely something we're going to need to dig into there. So awesome. Well, we are super excited. We just released, not full screen. There we go. We've just released the Hairyman of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot documentary. We've been working on it for just over a year now, and it came out this past weekend. You can find it on Wisconsin Caps on Patreon. You can become a monthly Patreon subscriber and get it for just I think it's $3 a month to become a Patreon subscriber. And you get access to the documentary. You get early access to all of our other projects and episodes and stuff that we usually release on YouTube. Plus, you get access to some other exclusive stuff, like the entire series of season 1 of Undiscovered Beasts is also on Patreon. You can watch that. That's not on YouTube. There's also some pictures and documentation and evidence and stuff on there from recent investigations that we don't usually publicly post, but it's on our Patreon. There's all kinds of cool stuff there's a ton of stuff on our Patreon if you're interested in it. Otherwise, if you guys are subscribers of Paraflix Paranormal Plus, that is another streaming platform. You can get it on there as well. It was released May 11th, so yesterday. For anybody that's interested, go and check it out. We are going to leave you today with the trailer for that. It's been on every episode, but we're gonna show that again at the end here just for everybody. But Chris, I want to talk about one more project here for you, because this year, since you're on here, we can give everyone a teaser. We're starting to film it this year. It's one of our big projects. It probably will not come out until next summer. But you brought up a really interesting project for us here about safety and making sure that, when you go out in the woods, you're safe, you know what you're doing. And this was kind of spawned from those Bigfoot researchers out west that died because they were not prepared and stuff for the situation and stuff. So we are going to be starting a mini series with you that kind of talks about wilderness preparedness. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. It's I think it's something that is very important. People should know what they should have with them, and there's reasons why you have certain things with you. I know a lot of hikers are worried about, their backpack being too heavy. Well, there's certain things that you can break down in smaller, like kits, is what we call it in the bushcrafting, field gear world. It's like you have a kit, you have a fire kit, you have a water kit, and if you know how to use a knife to start a fire, you have your fire kit there. You have your ferro rod, everyone should carry a cigarette lighter in their pocket, some duct tape on it, because no fire, there's no boiling water, there's no warmth at night, because it might be 70 degrees outside or 80 degrees outside during the day, but how many people go outside at night in the middle of July and it's cold?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff. How to start a fire, how to boil your own water, how to retrieve water from a creek, how to boil it. It's going to be all that kind of stuff. It's knowledge I think everyone should know, and I think it will help keep them safe while they're out. It's not camping. It's not you're not doing this to go out camping.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it in case something happens and you're lost or stuck in a situation. You at least have some way to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's good even for like emergency preparedness, or if your car breaks down or something too. This is kind of stuff that you can just keep in your car in case something happens. So
exactly. Yep. Just make a little backpack up. Some people in the prepper community call it a go bag or a bug out bag or something. I just call it being prepared. You never know. We're in Wisconsin, and if it's it's winter time, you're driving home and something happens to your car, you go into a ditch. If it's a blizzard out, they're not coming to get you.
I know that from experience.
Okay, so there you go. And having this stuff with you will make it easier, might save your life,
or someone else's.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be really cool. Like I said, we are filming it this summer. We're super busy. Like I said, I tell people my calendar looks like a Christmas tree with all the things that are on it and the different dates and stuff that I got to do. So I did it to myself. I told you, after the documentary and the convention, I was going to take time off, and then I literally filled my entire schedule after that. So yeah, I do it to myself, but it's pretty exciting. And I look forward to getting personally to come out and film with you and learn all this stuff from you. I'm really excited for this. We're going to do some kind of classroom style table work where you kind of show stuff and explain it. And then that, as well as some actual field going out into the woods, into the streams and stuff, and showing you real time what it looks like instead of just explaining it. So it's going to be a really cool little mini series that's going to be coming out, and you can look for that next year. Just putting the bug out there. So, but we have another new series coming out this year called Expedition Y. So this one we're really excited for too. We've already started filming that last year, so this one will be out this year, the beginnings of it. We have 3 episodes that will be coming out for sure this year, as well as our normal 6 episodes of Cap's Road Trip. We just released another episode of Spirits of Macville, the Haunted Gentlemen's Club. Expedition Y is going to be our new series this year that we're introducing. It is a kind of, instead of going out to a location and researching, we are talking about a specific topic. So a topic of the cryptid world or paranormal or metaphysical. And we are going to literally explore what that means and look for an answer to this topic. So it's completely different than anything that we've done before. It's going to combine research and then an investigation per episode. So it's really cool aspect. It's something that we haven't done before, and we're looking forward to. We have a couple more of these projects set to film this year, and I think people are really going to enjoy this. Chris, you've worked on a couple of them so far, and I think.
Yeah. I think it's neat because it might be something different that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
It's just something that we're, hey, like, this interests me. Yeah. Does it interest you? You want to go look into it?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I'm excited. We're taking, without giving too much away. I think the trailer's out for it now. Let me see if I can play the trailer. Let's do this. Let's see if we can play the trailer for this. Because I think that'll give away everything that we've already talked about, and that'll be. Here we go. Here's the trailer. Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society presents a brand new series that seeks to answer some of our greatest mysteries. Can the spirits of lost souls attach to objects? Do the ghosts of hitchhiking girls walk our highways? Is there such a thing as orbs of light, or are they just dust? Can mediums really communicate with the other side? And if so, can they communicate telepathically with each other? Cap seeks these answers and more on Expedition Y, coming summer 2025. Yeah, so there you go. That kind of spoils a lot of the stuff that we were dancing around, but we are looking heavily into the metaphysical. We are going to put our mediums to the test and see, if they can communicate with the other side. Why can't they telepathically talk to each other? And we've done some really cool experiments with this. We're continuing to work on that episode and stuff. We are looking at a whole haunted objects episode of attachments and stuff. That one's really cool. That one I think is done filming. And then we have an orb episode that we're working on to kind of go through different light phenomenon as far as, is it just dust particles or are these spirits, and what's the difference? Like an actual scientific, because there's stuff, like we all seen like the dust particles you get on cameras, and IR and that, but there's orbs that people see with their bare eyes. They're, the naked eye. And I, for one, have seen one of these objects. So this is not a dust particle that I saw floating through the woods. So what's the difference? And these are the few of the stuff that we're working on, and we got a lot more in the pipeline as well. So that's going to be Expedition Y, and that starts this summer as well. So we're really looking forward to filming those and getting more out there. But a lot of stuff coming. Yeah,
it's gonna be good. Be busy, but good.
Yeah, busy. Chris, do you want to know the new project? Do we want to drop this here?
Your call.
I want to announce this at the convention, and the convention is coming up in 2 weeks here. So this episode literally debuts the episode or the day after the convention. So it should already be public knowledge at this point. But Chris gets a spoiler if he can keep his mouth shut from now until the convention. So we are going to attempt something that I don't know has ever been done before. And it's either going to be a complete flop and not work, or it's going to be a very big deal. And what this is I am going to be working on doing we'll say United States, because it's not world, but it is open to anyone in the entire world that wants to be part of this. It is going to be the world's largest Bigfoot hunt or expedition. And what the plan is going to be for this, and this is just a rough outline for now. There's going to be a lot more details on this coming out. We are going to be setting up a kind of GoFundMe Kickstarter. And what this is going to do is we are going to ask people to donate a couple dollars to the project. And what that does is it gives us funding for the project so that we can go out and hire drone operators and surveillance stuff and get the equipment and stuff that we need. What that also is going to do is it's going to put yourself on a mailing list. And what's going to happen is once we get all this stuff in place and get our entire team situated, we are going to find a location that has had a recent sighting. And what we are going to do is we are going to get as many people as possible, 100 people, 200 people, and we are going to grid pattern, block off a section of the woods and close in from 4 sides and hopefully track one of these things down. Basically, if you believe Expedition Bigfoot, right? The last episode of this, what they did was they sent that drone up in the sky to look for thermal imaging, and they had 4 people on the ground.
Yep.
If that is legit, what would have happened if they had 400 people that could have closed in on that area? That's what I want to know. That is the project that we are coming up on in the future here with CAPS. And this is United States wide. So the funding for this gets you in the door, gets you on the mailing list, shows that you're serious, that you want to be a part of this, and that you want to put your time and effort into coming out and joining us, that you've dedicated it to it. It helps fund the people that cannot go out on boots on the ground and do it, so that we can get people to do this research. And it could be in Wisconsin, it could be Ohio, it could be Washington. But once we get this team put together and we get everything, it's going to be this past week, we got a sighting report. It's legitimate. We've looked into it. There's evidence. Everyone is going to converge on that spot. So that's the rough outline of what this project is going to entail. And we're going to be hopefully releasing more information on that. It's going to be the biggest undertaking that the CAPS team has done to date. And yeah, we'll see what we get, because I think that's probably the best way to tackle this. If we can narrow down an area of research that has had a lot of stuff that's public access that we can get into, that has recent activity, that we can get the technology in there and the people who know how to use the technology, multiple thermal drones in the sky, boots on the ground, water, whatever we have to do to narrow this in. This is what the funding is going to go to. It's going to be set aside for that. And anybody that is donated to the project or added funding to it and stuff is going to be kept abridged of all this stuff. And I think it's going to be a really, really cool project. So there you go, Chris. That's
cool,
what
man.
your next project is that you don't know anything about. But so we'll see. Either it's going to work and we're going to get, hundreds of people sign up for this. And I mean, like, it's not going to be, you can donate maybe we'll say $5 or something. I'm not sure what the basic buy into this is. It's not going to be a hell of a lot of money because some people are just going to put in to be part of it and keep up to date on it. And some people are going to be able to be boots on the ground, depending on where this project actually runs off to. But it's, and you can donate more, you can donate whatever to this project to help fund it. But all the money is going to go directly to this, to hire the drone operators, hire the surveillance and all that stuff that we're going to need, search dogs. We have all kinds of access to different things that we can to bring into this project that we've been kind of dabbling over the last couple of years here, and we're going to throw it all into one big ball. So that's what we're doing. What's that?
The one big hurrah.
Yeah. And the other thing is really cool is if we get enough people behind this, my other thought is we can go to Guinness. And if we get enough people involved in this, we could try and set a world record for the largest largest Bigfoot expedition ever. So I think that's kind of cool too. So, because if we get 200, 300 people to go out and boots on the ground, that's a lot. And I don't think that's ever been done before. So I have big goals for this. And
well, like a BFRO expedition is usually what, like 20 people, something like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
They're greatly multiplying that.
Oh yeah. So, but again, it's going to depend who's interested in doing it, and this is going to be, once this gets bigger and stuff, I'm going to be reaching out to researchers across the United States that are, able to kind of feed into this and stuff. It's not going to be a CAPS project. It's going to be a global research project. So, anybody around the world can donate to it, even if you can't be boots on the ground. And anybody from Kentucky, Ohio, Washington, we're gonna try and figure out the best location to do this, and we're gonna try and see what we get. So
yeah, that's gonna be cool, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. So now, Chris, you just have to keep your mouth shut for the next 2 weeks until this episode airs.
But what?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
Yeah.
But none of this is set up yet. So again, we're announcing this after the documentary at the convention. So if not, oops. Now this is the world premiere of it. But so there will be more information coming out on this. We're getting through the convention and the documentary first, and then this is going to be our next big project. So there you go, guys. All right. So if you want more information on myself, Chris, you can head on over to wisconsincaps.com. Check it out. Chris's bio's there. You can watch Chris on all of our research documentaries on YouTube and in the Hairyman of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot's out now. You can head on over to our Patreon page and become a subscriber, or you can purchase just the documentary for $3 and watch it on there. Or if you're a subscriber of Paraflix Paranormal Plus streaming platform, you can watch it on there. So, Chris, any final thoughts?
Hope you all enjoy the documentary, and hopefully now this might bring up some more stories, people wanting to get their voices out. So that'd be kind of neat to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's plug that. You can head on over to wisconsincaps.com and you can report your sighting on there. And you can either give us as much information, your name, phone number, email as possible, or you can remain anonymous. So you do not need to put your name on it. You do not have to put any personal information, but every bit of information that you can put about the sighting, date, time of year, where it specifically was, that would be very helpful for our research and stuff going forward. And like I said, you don't have to put your name on it. It can be anonymous, but it just helps us get that information out there. So head on over to wisconsincaps.com and fill out a sighting report for that. So awesome. Chris, thanks for joining me today. We're going to wrap things up here and head on out. We're going to leave you with the final trailer here for the Hairyman of Dairyland as we sign off. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share on all your chosen platforms for the Untold Radio Network and Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. Until next week, guys, I'll see you on the edge.
Right here in the road, and it was right on the line, standing right there.
Whatever it was breaking trees, breaking branches, and I've never heard that before.
And from the basement door, I was like, Louie, I'm pretty sure there's a footprint out here.
And that's when the rocks started coming out of this tree line.
All I seen was hair. And it was like arched over right here.
And then out of nowhere we hear this loud, like earth-shaking grunt.
It rolled its shoulder and grabbed the ground and pulled itself towards my vehicle.
And I heard a plunk, and I come over here, and that squash was laying about right there in the middle of my garden, you know.
How do you walk in that in bare feet at 30-degree temperature?
Did you see that? What was that? I saw something dark in the light from right to the left.
It was big.
Could be the little Bigfoot.